Hello snacks, welcome to today's stories. Entitled Aunt spreads blatant lies to justify her scumbaggery, and the bizarre and sad friend using OP's brothers to live out her weird teenage vampire werewolf dramatic romance novel fantasy. I don't know. For now, we'll begin with the first story. Am I the a-hole for cancelling the entire vacation when I found out that my stepdaughters deliberately hid my daughter's passport to get her to stay home? I've been married to my wife Beth for 5 years. I have a bio daughter named Jessica, she's 18. And I also have two stepdaughters named Monica and Leah. They're 25 and 28. Both are single moms and live with us currently. Okay, what is this, Cinderella but with a supportive family structure? There's been issues about my stepdaughters asking my daughter to babysit the kids. Jessica didn't have a problem with it at first, because this is what she does to earn money, but since her stepsisters don't pay her much, she just refused to babysit. We worked this out by having my wife take care of paying for the babysitting. I planned a family vacation for 3 days and everyone wanted to go. However, both Monica and Leah suggested that Jessica stay home and watch the kids, since Beth doesn't want her grandkids to come. They said it's because the kids are used to Jessica and hiring another babysitter would cause issues. They also said that Jessica isn't too fond of our destination, but it was obvious that Jessica wanted to go. They insisted, and Beth offered to pay her double, and there was just a lot of back and forth on this until I demanded they stop bringing it up. We were supposed to go last week, but when everybody had packed their bags and it was time to go, Jessica found out she didn't have her passport on her. We searched her bag, then went home and searched there. Beth and my stepdaughters kept insisting that we go back to the airport or else we'd miss our flight. They insisted that Jessica stay at home with the kids. They even told the new babysitter to go home because she was no longer needed. Oh my god, so they already had sorted out another babysitter anyway. I refused to go and kept searching for the passport till Monica admitted that she helped Leah hide Jessica's passport to get her to stay home with the kids. I was livid and tried to get her to tell me where it was, but she said Leah had it. Leah denied, so I threatened to cancel the vacation. That's when they gave it back. I decided to actually cancel the vacation and blew up at both of them and berated them. Nice. They stayed upstairs for a while and Beth refused to speak to me and said that I punished my stepdaughters for worrying about their kids and wanting them to stay with someone they know. I got told I overreacted and ruined the trip for everybody. Editing to mention that kicking my stepdaughters out isn't possible since my wife co-owns the house that we currently live in. Well, I guess your next best option is just to ban them from one half of the house. Before that edit, there were comments like these getting a lot of attention. To be honest, I would have kicked your wife and lazy no-good stepchildren out right then and there and ended the marriage. If they were 12, I might understand this level of entitlement and immaturity, but in their late 20s, and what the frick with your wife? She should have roasted them for pulling this BS. Some even wonder if the wife was actually in on it as well, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of Utah's as well though, mostly just because of how he's in this relationship despite what's clearly going on. Like, yeah, you gotta look out for your own happiness, of course, but your daughter is genuinely living a terrible example of the Cinderella lifestyle. No fairy godmother's coming to her in this reality, I'm sorry. But it's kinda hard to say Utah's are valid, because most of them are just saying, you're an a-hole for not noticing this sooner. Like, yeah, okay, Captain Hindsight. Over to r/entitled parents now for a story with a bunch of updates that began 2 months ago. It all started with this trashy aunt who essentially desecrates what was beginning to be a family heirloom. When I, 20 female, was a kid, my beautiful great aunt Beth sadly passed away from aggressive cancer. She was cremated and my mother was given a small pendant with her ashes in it. Due to some messy family problems, Beth stated that she never wanted any of her ashes to go to my great-grandmother, basically Beth's mother. It is important to note that the great-grandmother, despite being a literal millionaire, refused to help pay for Beth's cancer treatments because she, quote, should have married a richer man. It's common in my family to pass the pendant around as a token of strength, which is why I thought nothing of it when my Aunt Kathy, 40, asked to borrow the pendant, which was in my care. She said her doctor thought she had cancer, and she wanted to wear it for the biopsy. I didn't think twice before I gave it to her. 2 weeks later, she returns the pendant, and I noticed a large glob of super glue on top of the screw that seals the ashes in the pendant. I brought this up to my mom, who suggested that I try to open it. I tried, but the screw was super glued into the pendant, and I didn't have the tools to get it out without damaging the necklace. We brought it up to Kathy, and she nervously shrugged it off. I mailed it to my mom to fiddle with, and put the issue at the back of my mind. A few weeks later, my great-grandma came to town for a visit, and last week my mom was finally able to crack the necklace open. Lo and behold, the ashes were nowhere to be found. I instantly knew Kathy stole the ashes and gave them to great-grandma, against Beth's dying wish. My mom called up Kathy and asked her if she stole them. She was caught so off guard, she admitted to it. However, she didn't apologize for stealing them. She said she would never have done it if she knew we would have found out, and that maybe my mother and I wouldn't be so upset if we never opened the necklace in the first place? Yeah, how dare you catch this person absolutely blindsiding you both and desecrating this person's memory? You're the a-hole, OP, clearly. I cannot comprehend how a person is so goddamn entitled that they feel it's okay to 1. Steal ashes, 2. Disrespect the dying wish of the person whose ashes they stole, and 3. Not feel remorseful or blame us for being upset. Maybe she wanted to secure her place in great-grandma's will, or maybe she truly just lacks a moral compass. Either way, I'm infuriated, but sleeping well knowing I have one less crazy aunt to deal with. At the time, comments wanted to suggest that, hey, maybe you could file a police report because this is considered theft. Maybe kidnapping? Take my angry upvote. Some, weirdly enough, do have personal experiences of this though, saying that no, it's a civil matter. I know because my in-laws stole my husband's ashes and I had no recourse. But further discussion shows that maybe you could sue in civil court for the return of the ashes and damages, including emotional ones. This person personally chose to let that go, but it's something OP could still explore. Because hey, since Kathy is so keen and clearly seems to be on the good side of great-grandmother's wealthy will, well, she'll clearly have the money to help pay you back. Well, just 10 days ago, we get an update to this drama, where it turns out we're coming back to an explosive update, as Kathy, no longer acting like a rat with its tail between its legs, decides to launch out at OP and the mother, as well as revealing that she wasn't alone in this heist. About last week, Kathy accused me of selling marijuana to my cousin, 16-year-old male. Of course, this was a false and completely baseless accusation. I told my mom, and it upset her enough to confront Kathy. So nasty words were exchanged, which led to my mother exposing the truth about Kathy and the ashes to our other aunts. But in an unexpected turn of events, 2 of my 3 other aunts knew about the situation. Things went ballistic. My mother was reasonably upset, told them how morally screwed up they all were, and left it at that. I sent a message to Kathy that basically said, I don't know what to say. I trusted you. Good luck getting places by screwing over people who love you. I then blocked her and put it away. My other aunts have reached out, and I've decided to put my relationship with them on the back burner for now. I thought things were all said and done, until today, when Kathy sent the following message to my mother. And oh boy, I hope you've got popcorn ready, because this is just an amazing little weasel of an attempt to try and backtalk about OP. Like, goddamn, Aunt Kathy, you really thought OP's mother would actually believe any of this?
This will be the last thing, and I will leave you alone. Please know that I am sorry you are hurt. I thought we had already begun our healing process, and I was caught off guard by your note. Please, I beg you to be careful about allowing OP to spew poison into our relationship. She convinced me to hate OP's sister before she came down to visit. She filled my head with constant meddling and exaggerated comments. I didn't realize until OP left and her tricks faded away. OP once told me in the midst of a lie that I caught her in. She said, "Well, my mum usually falls for it, but you can see right through me." This comment keeps playing in my head and is even louder now. I do not mean to cause a divide between you two, but please be aware, she is a loaded gun and is running the show. OP is raged with jealousy and has your complete and undivided attention. You both have every right to be angry, but the truth is being twisted by why, OP. I really want to work on our relationship. I get if you need space, but please fact-check your daughter. Don't reward this self-destructing behavior. I tried to have a relationship with her when Aunt One was here, but she wouldn't have it. She knew exactly what she was doing and created the awkwardness. I would never keep her from Aunt One. She intentionally did this and had you believe it. I will give you space now, but your child is dangerous and you are enabling and empowering her worst trait. I love you, Opie's mom, and I will never be mad at you.
She also messaged my sister saying how I allegedly hate her and smack talk her frequently. I don't even know what to say about this message. First and foremost, I feel like she is 100% trying to change the subject from her ash thievery. Secondly, she is clearly trying to drive a wedge between me and my immediate family because she destroyed her own sister relationships through her reckless actions. Half of the things in the message aren't even true, and everyone I've shown it to has laughed at how ridiculous she sounds. I'm blessed enough to have a strong bond with my mom and sister, so they fired some shots back in my defense without me even knowing. My family is so screwed up, man. Shout out to Aunt Kathy's attempt to prove OP's a sneaky little schmidt by making a quote that seems to be purely about pointing out how great Kathy is at seeing through people. I mean, you can tell this is a woman who listens to a lot of soapbox drama because this is something exactly from a show. Who speaks like this in real life?
Welcome to the Screwed Up Family Club.
Mom needs to respond back. I know the truth, stop slandering my daughter before we get a lawyer involved. Give the ashes back. Fun fact though, apparently, some quick Googling says theft of ashes is a felony in certain US states. At the very least, I would hope OP talks to a lawyer to see their options, perhaps for a civil case. So this story is definitely an ongoing one. As yeah, apparently, messing with ashes counts as an abuse of a corpse. So hooray! Turns out the US government really cares about respecting dead bodies, which is kind of a sad fact considering how much they seem to respect women's. Now moving to Today I Screwed Up, where someone confesses to a rather dark memory of theirs. Today I screwed up by doing what my ex-wife says and ignoring the accident, and 2 people died. So this happened, I don't know, 2008-ish, and it's a memory that unfortunately won't go away in my life. It popped up again, unintentionally and unprovoked the other night, and it just doesn't sit right with me, and I'm always left with regret and remorse. So, the year was 2008 or so. I tried Googling the news headlines to corroborate my claim, but I'm not very good with that sort of advanced search. My then wife at the time is not a good person at heart. She was a Karen in training and very self-centered. We were heading up the 101 in California for her cousin's wedding one weekend. I want to say it was around Salinas, before the exit to head west to Monterey. That's when the accident happened. I saw a spray helicopter about 100 yards on our right take off from the fields and watched it get about 50 feet in the air. Not too high for a helicopter, but low enough to be low for a helicopter. I saw it hovering there and then saw the propellers for a second, quite visibly, which caught my attention because you should honestly never see them rotating that fast when airborne. So now I'm paying complete attention to the halo and I catch smoke come out of its engines and then just stop and plummet to the ground like a rock. I saw it happen and pointed it out and I started to pull over to the shoulder to help, and then she yells at me. "What are you doing?" "I'm pulling over to go help." "What are you going to do?" "I've got a fire extinguisher in the car. I can put it out the flames and try to pull them out." "You're not a Marine anymore. You can't just go running off and saving people anytime anymore." "But they could be hurt and I see smoke everywhere." "No, we're going to be late to the wedding. Let someone else deal with it." So away we went. I found out later on during the week in the news that the 2 people died inside from the fire before emergency services got there. The worst part is that when we finally arrived to her cousin's wedding, we found out that they deemed us unimportant enough for the actual ceremony, and it was the reception we were hurrying to. I feel like those deaths are on me and I should have done something. Now on first read you might think that yeah, it sounds like this ex-wife deserved to be an ex-wife. She's an absolute piece of scum only looking out for her own situation. And that, yeah, look, this man probably should have had more of a spine and actually gone out there and done something to help. But as we learned from some rather informative comments, it might have actually been completely useless. As some wonder, yeah, could a small car fire extinguisher actually help in this sort of situation? As a first responder, I can safely tell you your fire extinguisher would have done next to nothing. I've been to accidents and car fires where concerned citizens rush in and valiantly try to help, but all that happens is that they get to see someone die die horrifically in front of them. I applaud you for your concern, but I would not feel any guilt if I were you. Tragic, but it's definitely not on you. Yeah, can confirm. Tried to help someone out of a burning car wreck and saw the most brutal stuff of my life I can't get out of my head. Yeah, it becomes a rather informative and interesting discussion as to how, with fire extinguishers, you kind of need to have the pressure on it constantly. The moment you stop using them is when the flames just get started all over again. It brings a lot of justification to the actions in this video, over in r/abrupt chaos from a year ago. An arsonist attempts to cause some disaster in a petrol station. He pulls it out, tries to light it. It's not even his car, and he just runs away. Of course, one person comes to use their extinguisher. Thankfully, that woman gets out in time. Then a second person comes, and to kind of skip along, it goes from just 2 people to multiple people, again and again and again. Like, the numbers just keep going and going, because yeah, you have to keep the pressure on. And if it takes this many extinguishers on one car fire, you can only imagine how much would have been required for a helicopter crash. Oh yeah, look, there's still more. It's pretty much just a winter wonderland at this point. And that's where I think maybe this ex-wife wasn't really being too much of an a-hole, but kind of understanding that this might have just been OP's PTSD triggering and desperate attempts to, save a life. Bring him back to reality. She probably maybe knew that his little extinguisher wouldn't make a difference. But what do you think? Do you think that she was just looking out for him in a way, or she was just genuinely a selfish, entitled butthead? For now, let's move on. Over to another 2-parter story over the last month that is just bizarre and sad. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend to stop using my life to get petty clout and to live her fantasy somewhere else? I'm a 17-year-old female. I have 8 older brothers. Without getting into too much detail, there's a few adoptions and half-siblings in the mix, but I'm close to all of them. And while my life can be crazy sometimes, I wouldn't trade them for the world. It's also relevant that I don't have either of my parents in my life, and haven't since I was 11. The issue involves my close friend, who's also 17 female, who I've known since we were 4. About a year now, she's been consistently posting on social media about her best friend's super hot older brothers, and the terrible tale of how she ended up in a love triangle with her best friend's brothers. And it's seriously annoying. She's never really had anything to do with my brothers. They know her as my little sister's friend and nothing more. So I really don't get where this is all coming from. Over the last few weeks, however, it's gotten so much worse. She'll actively tell stories to people at our school about the steamy romance that's in my life, and it's bringing me a lot of unwanted attention. I've tried to talk to her about it, but she always says that she'd never do anything to hurt me, and she's just living her life, which doesn't even make sense. I've mentioned it so many times that I've started to avoid hanging out with her because I know my brothers will come into it, and I'll have to ask her to knock it off again. Everything came to a head yesterday. We went out with some friends, and 4 of my brothers dropped us both off. When we got inside, half of the girls in the group immediately started talking to my best friend about the good-looking guys in the car, and whether those were the hot men she was talking about. I snapped and yelled, "Those are my brothers, and I swear to God, my friend, if you don't stop using my life to get petty clout, I'm cutting you off. Quit living your fantasy through me, do it somewhere else," and left. Which I feel like was really harsh and probably could have waited until we were in private, because she called me later to tell me she wanted space from our friendship because I was becoming jealous, needy, and controlling ever since she got close with my brothers, which isn't even remotely true. All of my brothers so far have told me to just stop being friends with her, but she's been really important in my life for a long time, and I don't want to ruin what we have, but at the same time, I don't want to keep letting her use my life for her fantasy. Am I the a-hole? Look, to be fair, I think she's the one who's ruined things here, not you. You've just finally shut the door on her access to your brothers. I have to wonder if your friend's really interested in trains, because she certainly seems keen on riding one with your brothers. To highlight some relevant comments, to check there was nothing being misconstrued, like things actually happening behind OP's back, she's talked to her brothers, who are all in their 20s, who were disgusted to say the least. And yeah, considering their age, it's not just weird, but also illegal. So for this friend to be going around sharing such sort of information, she's basically incriminating these guys. She's always been flirty with them, which they never reciprocated and eventually stopped being around when I had her over because of the comments. She isn't close with them at all, and I've asked her to stop a few times, but she never does. The one time I asked her why she was doing this, she told me to stop being controlling, so I really don't know where this came from. So 2 days later, how do things go? It begins with revising what they answered to in the comments, that there was nothing going on behind OP's back, nothing flirty, romantic, or intimate at all. Not gonna lie, that made everything so much easier. I was terrified one of them was going to admit to have done something with her. We also talked about her recent behaviors. I told them about what she's been saying, and then Sam spoke up. He said that in the past, they had heard from my friend intentionally telling people strange things about me in order to make it seem like I wasn't a person who you'd want to be friends with. They'd overheard these conversations at my house when I wasn't around or doing something, and she was waiting for me. Things like,
She's too clingy, or she's controlling.
to even telling people I'd slept with one of my brothers. It hurt a lot. So you guys were right. She has been isolating me from people. After our talk, I needed to get some air, so I went for a walk. My friend ended up calling me and I answered. I know, stupid. But I was hurt and wanted to know if she really had done those things. The conversation went like this.
Listen, OP, we've been friends for a long time, and I don't want to hurt you, but this friendship has become really toxic.
Are you serious? I know what you've been saying about me. You're a liar and a creep, and the only toxic thing in this friendship is you.
I've literally never lied to you in my life, so I don't know what you think I've said or done, but you're wrong. It's not my fault people don't want to be your friend because you're weirdly possessive.
Oh, look at that. You just admitted to doing the things. You literally told people you were dating my brothers. That's gross and really messed up.
This is what I mean. You aren't acting like yourself anymore. I feel like ever since we got older, you've started to become obsessed with attention. I don't like this version of you. It isn't my best friend.
Oh my god, the gaslighting. I hung up after that and now I feel like Schmidt. She was my best friend. I have no idea what to do next because she hasn't stopped blowing up my phone since the call. I want to block her, but I just can't do it. I feel like an absolute failure. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I don't have a clue what I'm going to do next. I want to tell her parents, but what do I even say? Like, hey, your daughter's fetishizing my brothers? I literally have no evidence whatsoever, and I don't know what she's told them about me. Who knows? Any advice would be appreciated, since my brain isn't working right now, and all I've been doing is crying. Of course, big support in the comments to really hammer it down to OP. Do not blame yourself for her behavior. You are not the one in the wrong here. None of this is your fault, and you shouldn't put any blame on yourself for this entire situation. Others point out that in terms of what to say to her parents, well, bring one of your most trustworthy brothers along with you, go see her parents, and bring up as well as highlight the fact that if she's spreading all this stuff, and especially if any adults believe her, these boys would get in huge legal trouble. Said your brothers are in their 20s, that means they are over 21 at least, meaning they can be charged with statutory rape by your friend's parents because she's a minor. And hell, even if it's proven to be false, if it ever does go to court and that sort of stuff, the public eye sees it. Like, this is beyond just some sort of gossip issue. This is genuine livelihood of your brothers. But, you know, no pressure. It's only your brother's livelihood that's at stake here.
Well, that is the end of today's video. Thank you as always for watching. Remember to drink water that's healthy for you and stuff. I love your face, and see you next time. Bye-bye.